he reported. Now, whatever, it's a report. If the Jets somehow get a second round pick, if they did, which I don't think they will, but if they do, then I'll take Genti at 7. I don't see the big deal, but
No, see, there's no way, Petey.
No.
Why would you do
why
that
not?
though?
Why not?
Because because you don't need a running back at 7.
I'm
Okay.
I'm gonna say this, and I ain't
And
wanted to do
1 second, and
because
I think if you did
for
Brees and a 3, you could get a 2. I don't think you can get a straight up 2 for Brees.
No, you're not
Okay.
gonna get a straight
Or you could do Brees and a 3, and we get a 2 and a 4 back, something like that. Because like I said, Brees isn't garbage. He's not.
No, he's not garbage. He's
So if you
not.
do Brees and a 3, and we get a 2 and a 4, I'm down with that. But I'm not taking Genti at 7. No way,
with all
shape,
the
or
holes we got.
form.
Okay.
Go
I
ahead, Jigga.
I
I
said
mean,
leave
hey,
Brees, get a right tackle.
listen, this is the play. If you guys, Buckeye said it was during the Patriot game, which he's wrong again about, by the way. That play, this guy Chase, that's in the listener section, sent it up to the space. The play that Brees Hall made. What name a running back? There's probably a couple that can make that catch
Okay,
that Rogers threw.
hey, Petey, I got a question for you. How many touchdowns did Breeze have last year?
Receiving or in general?
Period.
Well, in June again, as Mark would say, you're going to make me do all the work. Can you please look it up? I would say 8 total.
Speaking
You
of
I
think
Mark,
think he
so?
had. I
He's listening. As we can tell, Peter, you got to get an introduction for him because he's taking notes
well,
right now.
I don't know if Mark can come up. If he
But if
can
he
come up,
does,
I
we need
mean,
an introduction. You got to get a song for Mark. He's going to light the
nah,
place up.
okay.
Let me see how many touchdowns Breeze had last year.
I think 8.
He did have
Breeze,
8, 5 rushing and 3 receiving.
Hey, Steve. Good morning, Steve. Let me
Morning,
ask you,
boys.
but
Stevie.
to interrupt, what's your take on Mr. Hall?
I think we overrate him.
Thank
I
you,
think it's the deal
Stevie.
here. I
That's
think
my
so.
fucking guy. That's my
Oh,
I think
guy.
June,
so.
man, let the guy. Every time
I'm
somebody
cheering
agrees
him
with,
on, man.
no,
Let
June.
me cheer him on.
June, listen, there is nobody supporting what I'm saying right now, and I could
I
give two
am.
craps. All right, well, thank you, Hector. But the minute somebody says one thing that you say, June, you get all giddy in your Crocs and you're ready to run a marathon.
If this was the
well,
WWE, Jew would be the Undertaker.
I like that. That's my favorite guy too. Yeah, Stevie.
well received, June. I appreciate it. But yeah,
Hey,
listen,
brother.
PD, he can make some catches. He can do all that. You brought up he beat a linebacker. Almost any running back in the NFL could beat a linebacker, right? So that can happen. And yeah, he's good in open
Correct.
space, but
Hmm.
similar deal, right? A lot of these running backs are going to be great at open space.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
yet, so I think a lot of what he can do is replaceable. He's been hurt a lot, sometimes seriously, sometimes not seriously. I think PD, I think our boy June is right here. I don't know if this is going to be. I think he can be replaceable, and not only that, we're going to run the ball a lot this year, a lot. I'm almost positive he's going to get some sort of an injury again, and I'm not so sure it's going to be so easy to run because you pretty much have a running back at quarterback now, or somebody that can do what a running back does. These are going to be some heavy boxes. I think I looked to if he stayed, I wouldn't at a bargain. I wouldn't mind it.
Yep.
He's not going to
But
do that,
Steve, can
and he
I just
shouldn't do
make
that.
one
Yeah,
point though? You
go.
just made me think of something. No, what you said now, the boxes are going to be heavy, but there's going to be now a spy on Justin Fields, which would help Brees. No.
You're talking. Well, that's still. So if they spy Fields and we end up not running with
Yep.
Fields, we give it with Brees. That's
Yep.
still another guy in the box here. So who cares if his intent was to get Fields or is 2 seconds later his
Okay.
intent's going to be
2
to get
seconds is a
to get
lot of
Brees.
time.
I guess I don't know if I could cash him out and get something and turn that into a pick that becomes a receiver or whatever. That's what I do. So I cash him out. Somebody else brought it up. It's a very deep running back. We got 2 guys in what? The one guy came in 5 and Davis came in 6 or something. We got 2 guys pretty late. We can recreate that. Even if not, we sort of have a guy that could bridge the gap in Fields running wise anyway. That's what I do because I think at some point he's another one. I'm going to shut up in a minute. He's on social
worry
media a
about it.
lot. He always has rolling eye emojis or he
Yep.
talks a little bit too much. So goodbye. See you later. Happy to drive him to LaGuardia.
Yeah.
Okay, look, wow, you're not even driving him to Newark. Yeah, at least you'll have a lot of time with him because that's a pretty far ride from Florham Park. June, I hope I don't lose the space. I'm going in an elevator.
All right. Jigga, what's up, brother? Jigga.
Hey, June, I got one. While we're waiting for him, what are they going to trade him for? Like, what do you actually think we can? I'm not buying we're getting it unless it's a very, very, very low two, and even then, I'm
No,
not so
no,
sure.
no, no
Yeah,
way. I'm hoping for a third, but me and Buckeye, we both already agreed. You're looking at a 4. Hopefully a
and I
3.
and I wonder about that because as soon as he gets to that team, they're going to have to pay him.
Yeah, and that's the reason it gets bumped down to a 4. Let's say if it was last year, you could get a third for him, but considering the fact that you got to pay him, plus is a good running back draft, you're looking at a 4.
No
No,
way do you
no
trade
way.
him for a fourth.
No way.
No way.
June, what are you doing?
What's up, Murr? What's good with you, brother?
What's up, man? June, no, don't do this.
You,
Ugh.
you have to, Murr. Look,
No,
man. We spoke about it. Come on, is he?
nah.
I mean, once again, I know Jet fans get attached to the players who we draft, and I get that. But like Stevie said, it's a lot of overrating players. It's a lot of we want to see them succeed so bad that
Bro,
we look at them like
and
like they're better than life. They're not.
Joan, in reality, you guys are rebuilding.
Thank you.
You can
Hey, show.
replace
I've
him.
been
It's
set.
really not
Thank you,
that big of a
show.
deal. If you
Thank
really
you,
think
show.
about it, you've
Thank
had
you,
a running
show.
back before him. You're gonna have running backs, multiple running backs after him. It is what it is, bro.
Thank you,
Oh,
show.
Yes, I got reinforcements coming. It's Mark. Thank God.
Thank you, show.
who said it? Who was in who? I didn't see the name. Who said that you're gonna draft Janty at 7 to join a committee? Who said that?
I mean, you don't have to draft Gentry
Petey
if you
knew.
want to run it back. You could move down and get a Mario Hampton and
Yeah.
get an extra
No,
second
I
and
didn't
maybe a
say a
third.
committee.
No, 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 no,
I
no, no.
said I would.
No, no, you didn't say that.
Yeah.
You said someone Samini had said something like that, right?
Yeah.
No, I
I
didn't.
did.
Someone
Samini
else
said
did.
it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, no, because I want to give that person credit, whoever said it, because you don't draft somebody at 7 just to join a running back committee.
Right.
No, yeah,
You
Exactly.
don't
right.
That
do that.
it's. I mean, he's a moron. The guy's a moron.
All
Yeah,
right,
so
June.
it's
Like,
Please.
crazy.
Petey, stop! Come
Okay.
on! Don't hold the water for Samini. Fuck Samini.
unless Justin Fields is going to be a future quarterback, why are you like for what? Like, that by the time you do get your quarterback, you're going to have to pay that running back again. You're going to be in the same situation. So
Okay.
why are you going to pay
Mark, you
Brees all
don't
that
have to
money?
raise your hand as long as it's not a 3-minute take.
I don't know
Well, it
why.
doesn't have to
Oh,
be
no?
because we've been hearing this nonsense for a month and change. Chris Brockman suggested you're probably going to get a fifth for Brees. So this conversation is insane. You're getting a quarterback who you have questions about how they see the field. They're going to need the rushing attack to help out, and now you're going to rob the quarterback of a weapon who can catch out of the backfield, who can run, who's the best running back in the current Jets running back room. And you're going to get rid of that guy for a
No
Absolutely.
fifth?
doubt.
Thanks,
No
Sorry,
Mark.
doubt.
no thanks.
Me neither. Thank you.
Yeah, we have enough problems as it is. The last time we took away from a strength because we thought we had so much depth was the defensive line with JFM and Quentin Jefferson. And
Yeah,
look
but
what happened to the run defense after our depth didn't
that
come
point
through.
isn't good because you're acting as if they're not going to add more running backs to replace his
No, they
production.
will.
We had
Showtime.
Rookie
We've
Show.
had
That's the
plenty of
issue.
running backs in the last few years. Even the kid from Pittsburgh that we drafted that was a bust.
Izzy.
Yeah. I mean,
Izzy.
what are we doing? How many guys are we going to have?
But
I mean,
Terrence, go ahead.
you
it
got this
makes no
guy. The
sense.
guy we're talking
Let,
about wants to get paid though. It's not
yeah,
just a running back.
Terrence
All
is
right,
at
but
work.
what if
Let Terrence jump in real quick. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
All right.
I'm kind of like Jim. If we trade him, fine. If he stays, fine. I mean, I don't have this, but the one thing I do agree with is if you want to get something for him, like basically you're going to lose him next year. If you just, I mean, and the way Glenn is, I mean, again, you can't interpret what coaches say. right now, but he plans to use him as part of a committee. So, I mean, my question would be to Petey, uh, what stats does he have to have before you start saying we need to extend him next year, and then or give him the tag? Because like I mean, he was pretty good in year two. He barely missed 1,000 yards, but the receiving yards combined, he had about, if I'm not mistaken, 1,600. He had a,
Yep. Good point.
but you know, so I'm okay with that. I mean, I think he may have missed a game in year two. He missed a game last year. I mean, that happens with the running back. I mean, ACLs happen a lot. Um, like so to me it doesn't matter, but like yeah, like if somebody offers you a third right now, I would consider it. And because as somebody said, the running back room isn't barren, and you can get somebody. It doesn't. And the thing to me is, why would you do it? Is because if you could get another third rounder, you're filling a need in another area that we are deficient in, whether it's wide receiver or safety. Because again, whenever I see these mock drafts, I see it getting, like who the hell is this in the fourth round really fast. And that's the only reason why I would do it. But I do believe the kid has a lot of talent. Maybe Glenn can get the most out of him. It's just the question to me is what happens next year if he does have a good year? Do we franchise him and then
Yep.
get stat now? Or,
Can,
or does he just have another season like he did now, where we're just
Hmm.
getting rid of him and then let it be
can
somebody
I
else?
add to that?
Let it be some other team a problem. Go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm done.
Here's the thing. I need to know when we're saying that we can't afford to pay Brees. We don't have a $60 million quarterback.
We can afford to pay him,
Yeah,
Hector. So the
exactly.
narrative is,
Yeah,
yeah. So
because
don't even
we,
entertain it.
like Buckeye and June were saying before, that we don't have, and I agree, super talent on this team. So where the fuck is all our cap money going? Why can't we afford them? Every
Yeah.
other team's
And
affording their
let,
players,
let me answer
and
Terrence's question real
yeah,
quick.
and
Terrence,
we don't have any
Also, don't
playmakers.
forget
So
Barkley
how
had
we
an
get rid of
ACL
Brees?
too, and then he
yeah.
got 2,000 yards
Terrence,
after it. So
1150 and similar receiving yards. That's
to year two.
that's a dynamite season. 1150 rushing and over 600 yards receiving. Then the Jets, in my opinion, will be cooking because they'll be dangerous on offense. That's a lot of yards. Is that a fair answer?
I think so. I also think that Glenn isn't going to tolerate some of the drops and fumbles. I think it's like a, I think he'll bench him for a while if something like that happened. Like when I say bench, meaning like he'll bench him for a half. Maybe not right away. I'm just saying if it persists the way that it
Thank you.
did last year.
Appreciate that.
But
Thanks.
anyway, that's it. Yeah. That's all. Let other people talk and let Mark continue because I kind of, I really have no opinion about it. I remember when we drafted Blair Thomas and I called up Dave Sims on FAN and I said, oh, maybe we should trade Johnny Hector away now that we got Blair Thomas,
Wow,
and
Dave Sims, the,
yeah,
the
yeah,
Yankees
and
radio announcer.
yeah, and basically, Blair Thomas turned out to be a bust anyway. But I was in that mentality of, I was whatever, I was 22 or 23 or whatever at the time, a long time ago. But yeah, so I mean, I understand it, but I get what Mark is saying too. I mean, he's a talented player, and if we all expect some of these guys to right the ship this year with the discipline at least, let's just hope he gets back to year two numbers.
Hey,
You know.
history. They say history repeats itself. I remember John Riggins. We didn't want to pay him.
Oh yeah, five. Yeah, he got that 1,000 yard year his fifth year, and because he couldn't play with Namath. That's like Namath wanted to throw the ball, and you were like they didn't want to run it. Yeah, that's what Riggins said. Yeah.
Uh, can, can I ask the room a question?
Sure,
All right.
June.
Okay. So I
Only if I can answer it.
shit. We can all agree our best players in this team. I ain't gonna say stars. Our best players on the team had down years, right? We all agree on that, right?
The whole team did, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the odds on a new coach coming in and all of our best players having successful seasons?
I think you underestimate, June, what happens when you have a change like this. And suddenly, think I'll highlight one area. Let's say the coaching is equivalent, right? Coaching's the same, game planning's the same, and I don't think it'll be the same. I think a lot of fans are expecting better for those. Let's just highlight penalties. So we're talking about no more drives that go from a 3rd and 5 to a 3rd and 15. Okay, no more penalties, no more touchdowns like a Brees Hall touchdown, which we want to talk about Brees's numbers, and we neglect to mention the boneheaded holding calls that are stripping Brees Hall of points. But we'll just leave that out of
Why
the
are you talking about
statistics
Clemens,
because we don't
Mark?
watch football games. My point, no, that was what was it, Smith in the hold or Lazard in the hold, like guys that whatever either aren't going to be Jets or like, and but we'll leave that out because of course whatever we can't bring in context. That's not allowed. My point being that if they just get rid of the boneheaded penalties, I would expect every player on the team to be better because you're not going to have boneheaded drives. You're not going to be giving up. You're not going to turn drives that should last 3 minutes and turn into a change of possession into an 8 or 9 minute drive and a touchdown because you're extending drives because of shit penalties.
Okay, so
That's
Mark,
one area of three that I can think of off the top of my head that'll be better or should be better with Clem.
That's a good point.
now, okay. With that being said, is that realistic that every good player will have a successful season because of a coach change? It's not realistic.
June,
Every
I got
player
something for
every
you.
player is not going to hit.
I don't think that was his point, though, June.
Well,
Dude,
no, no,
I
no,
could
no, no,
see
no,
your
no, 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 no,
point.
no. I hear what
Oh,
he's saying, but my question was that he didn't really directly answer was
all right, June. Let me answer like this. Okay, if you were saying Isaiah Davis, okay, little flashes, like is he going to be dramatically better? I'm not expecting him to be really much better. But when you have players like Garrett Wilson and Sauce and Brees who have a body of work in 2 years previous that were very good, and then as a group have a down year the year following, and say Garrett had a down year following, he still had 1,000 yards, like still had a decent year.
mm-hmm,
I'm expecting them to be better based off the change of scenery in the front office, based off the fact that I watched them play. I didn't blank out watching them play for their first 2 years. Like that, in my mind, that's who those players are. Now, Show's not wrong too. At some point, the production has to match the potential. I 100% agree with that. But when you change the coaching staff around, now you get coaches to tap the potential of these players. That's the damn point.
And
Have
I
there
go
been times, Mark, where a new coach comes in and a player actually doesn't fit the system or has problems with the new coach and doesn't get it?
100%.
Okay, that's all. I think that's what June's trying to say.
uh,
exactly.
June,
Somebody's not going to hit.
June, you know what? If you're talking, I think if let's just throw out the three names. Let's throw out Sauce, Wilson, Garrett, and Brees. I think
Okay,
Sauce has a bounce back year.
okay,
I think he's better. I think Garrett's going to be better just
right,
because Devontae's not here. He has
right,
familiarity with the quarterback.
right.
Brees is a question mark just because I liked what Isaiah Davis did, and
Me too.
we have a coach that again I love everything he's saying, and he said in one of the last interviews, you can't be afraid to play the young players. So if he's liking what Isaiah Davis is doing more than Brees, I think Isaiah Davis gets more action, or even Braylon Allen, or whoever. So, but I think the two main guys that you want to ship out of here faster than you know.
No, not true. Look, listen.
No,
In
I
about
know you have. You do. You
uh,
if Garrett wants out, you want to ship him out,
right,
and
right.
you would trade Sauce fucking before you take a sip of coffee in the morning
Jim,
if you
Jim, I,
could.
Before I brush my teeth, Jim.
Yeah,
Before I
Jim,
brush
can
exactly.
you
my
hear
Before you
me?
teeth.
before
Jim,
your
can you
feet
hear
hit the
me?
floor out of bed.
Jim,
Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead,
gonna
Petey.
say ship him out faster than Elon Musk is rockets.
Yeah.
I think Isaiah Davis got to fight for a roster spot. To be honest, I think people are anointing him
No,
too
he'll
fast.
I
make
Why?
the
don't think.
Why
team.
I
not?
think. I don't
He'll
think so.
make
He
the
played very
team.
well.
He'll make the
What do
team.
you what do you have? 13, 14
But
touches last year?
yeah, but Buckeye, he also played special teams too, and he was okay on space. He's a big special teams guy.
Yeah, but
You
people
got to
talking about
consider
him like
that
he's
though.
a weapon. Like
I'm not, but that's that. Okay, Buckeye, and that's my point. Like,
I.
why are you
I.
going to get rid of Brees? And then I can't depend on Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen yet. No
I.
because
disrespect to
Petey,
them.
there's
I
a
think the running back
draft.
room is set with the three of
There's a
them.
tremendous running back draft, Petey.
Okay, so you're
Tremendous.
going so you're going to depend on a rookie?
Yes. How about that?
N- Uh,
Yes.
no,
Well,
unless it's
well,
Jensen.
Petey,
Yo,
Detroit had something to like play for, right? The Lions. They
How
depended.
was their O line?
They depended on a rookie.
How was their O line?
Yeah, but Jameer
Fantastic.
Gibbs was Jameer Gibbs the feature guy right away? No, they eased him in. No,
Did they?
I don't know.
Okay.
Like
yo,
we got to
you know what's
come
funny?
back, Reg. You
You
And
know,
by
know
the
come
what?
way,
back.
wasn't Brees's best year his rookie
His
year?
rookie, I was just about to say it,
Yeah.
Buck. I
So
was just
Petey,
about to
like,
say
did
it.
you trust
Actually,
that?
no. Actually, I think his second year was his best year because he was
Wait a
third in the
second, Pete.
What?
NFL. He
Pete,
was
you
third in
can't
the
let
NFL
Do you
Pete. We
in
do,
can't
do
North.
let
you
them do this
do you see what his
No,
because I'm not
numbers
saying
was before he got
Mark,
hurt?
let him do it. Let him live on Fantasy Island.
it's
We'll have two
crazy to me.
islands. We'll have Revis
Now they're
Island
getting
and then Fantasy
yeah.
Island.
And now they're getting a third for Brees when really it's probably going to be like it would be like a fifth. Because by the way, this is a stacked running back draft. These guys say stuff that's wholly inconsistent. It's insane to me. And look, faulting
Mark, they could
Brees
relate
for
to
his
you.
year two, faulting Brees off his year two, off
Good
an
one, Petey. Good
ACL.
one. Good one.
We're going to do that, really? And say, oh well, he was worse his second year. The man had a serious knee injury his first
So we
year.
can't judge him because of the line. We can't judge him because of Aaron Rodgers. We
No,
can't judge him because
I
of injury. We can't judge him on Twitter. What
Right.
all right, Brees is you know what,
no,
Petey?
you're free to
Right. That's
look.
a
You're
Petey, give him
free
fact.
a
to judge
5 year deal.
him.
5 year, 100 million a
We
year.
can
Like
judge him,
Listen,
but
Oh, come
I don't
on.
think he's
He's not
garbage
getting a.
like everybody's saying.
hold
nobody
on.
said
Can
No,
I
that.
no,
say
no, no.
something about? All right,
Nobody said he's garbage.
But I'm
Go
just
ahead.
okay.
I'll
So if you go into the
I'll do it.
season with these three guys, I'm very comfortable with it. No one
So
else
sign
is.
him now. If you really want
But
this guy,
the
Yeah,
sign
but
him
you don't
now.
Saints.
have. Yeah, but no, you don't have
Mark,
to
hold
sign him
on.
now, though.
Well, if he has a terrific year, Jim, you're going to pay him more.
Okay,
You're going to pay him
that's fine.
more.
It's not my money. They'll
It,
have
it,
room.
well, one way or another, when the cap gets crushed, yeah, it's the fans' money
It's
because
not gonna. No, yeah, but no. The cap goes up every year.
for everybody. For
Yes,
everybody.
yes,
We
but
do this thing with the cap. It's for everybody.
I get it. But again, we don't have 10 great players or even a quarterback that we're
Oh,
breaking the bank
Petey.
for.
Whoa, whoa,
Petey.
So
whoa, whoa,
Petey.
whoa.
I
He
did
said
not
10.
say no,
Petey.
no, no. I did not say great, Buckeye. Don't twist my words.
Petey.
No, you're twisting my words, man.
I think the
so
question
my
started
point
that
is if
way.
he has a career year, Buckeye, they can, and if they want to pay him, they'll be able to pay
Exactly,
him.
Jim. Right.
So
They'll
then
be able. Why do we don't have to do it
I
now? Let
never
it play
said great
out.
player. I said good
so
players.
if he has a
Okay.
great year, you got to give him a 3 year what, 40?
No,
If
you
they
don't.
want to,
You could
whatever it's going to
franchise tag
be.
him
And
and
what
then
if
trade
ABT
him.
has a great year, Petey?
You
I
got to
hope we have that
reevaluate.
problem.
You
You got
could
to pay
spread.
him
You
No, you
too.
could.
don't get to
You,
reevaluate on
no.
ABT, Petey.
Why not? You could spread the money out. You could use the
And
tag on him
they can
also.
tag somebody if they want.
Right.
This
Wow.
is not. Wait a minute.
This is crazy.
This isn't Quincy ABT's and Brees's last year of their contracts. Am I wrong?
Yep. You know, you're right.
So what do you mean
100%.
reevaluate, Petey? What does that word mean? You
Mm.
can't trade someone when
Reevaluate.
their
Look it
contract's
up.
done. What do you like? What you can't trade them once the contract's finished.
You can tag him though.
You can't tag three.
You gonna attack one.
Is Curtis trying to get in here?
You can't
And
tag
and you
three.
you can rip up if someone you can rip up a deal in the middle of the season. You can do whatever you want.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
I don't really mean to interrupt,
Yo,
but
yeah,
y'all,
yes, you do.
y'all, no, because this is starting to get
Love you.
ridiculous. Listen, the bottom line is we can't keep everybody. It's not Madden
Thank you.
26,
We
okay?
can't keep everybody.
Okay, we can't keep everybody, and he's the lowest on the totem pole,
Thank
whether
you.
you like it or not.
Thank
Get
you.
some value for him now
Thank
and
you.
call it a day. Me and
Thank you.
June go at it about Sauce. Me and June go at it about Garrett, but we both
All day
agree.
long. but we
We
all
both agree he's the one. He's got to go, and y'all know it.
Good. So 33% is almost 34. Great job, guys.
Yo, this guy is fucking horrible.
Petey,
You can't wait till
you
everyone
gotta
on the
think with your
contract
business
here.
mind.
No,
Yeah, that's what.
but all right. So, uh, Curtis, good morning. So I am
Good
thinking
morning,
with my
Petey.
business mind. I want to maximize what I have and see what I got, and then reevaluate. Isn't that
You
what you're
see,
supposed to do in
It's
business?
too,
you seen
But
what you
sometimes
have
it's
in
too
3
late.
years.
Okay,
Sometimes
it's
it's
not.
too late.
But you okay? So then why didn't we get anything for DJ Reed? We should have. He's a better player
We
than Brees, right? If
You
you
should
want
have
to get
traded him.
well
technical,
blame Salah. That
okay.
was Salah and
It wasn't
JD.
Salah
That was
though.
on the
If
pass.
Salah was gone,
Well, it was on JD. Well, JD was gone. It was on them.
Yeah,
It was too late. It was
okay.
too late.
you
So
could have traded him at the deadline last year and got something for him.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm saying though. Like, how come they didn't do it?
Well, that's the reason why they don't have.
you
Well,
can't blame the past.
you can't blame the present on the past.
facts.
Stop. There's
Okay,
two different men.
that's
There's two
fair.
different men.
That's a fair argument.
So
That's
yeah. So that's what we looking at, man. We just
God,
if he's gone, he's gone. I totally understand why he's gone. It's not personal. It's not that we even don't like him. It's just too late. It's too late.
facts. The timeline don't add up. He needs to get paid. We're kind of rebuilding. I know it's a bad word, but we are rebuilding.
Hey, June, you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, baby. What up?
Yeah. I said this the other night. I don't have any attachments to any of the players. No, I don't have an emotional attachment. I just want the Jets to win.
Me too.
So I don't want to get rid of Brees Hall, but if they trade him, I definitely don't want to use that pick on another running back early on
Right.
because I like the running back room as it is. We have too many holes to fill to waste on a premium pick on a running back.
Absolutely.
that's
Totally
That's
fair.
number
agree.
one.
Agreed.
Number two about that. If we are going to trade him, people are talking about compensation like middle of the draft or later, fourth, fifth round. I'm saying to a potential buyer is that if Brees signs somewhere else after this year,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna get a comp pick, probably a third round, because he will get a contract from a running back needy team. We'll probably get a third round pick as compensation. I'm gonna say if you want him now and control over him
Mm-hmm.
moving forward, you're paying a premium, which is at least a second round. Otherwise, kick rocks. We'll keep him.
June,
Either you give us more compensation than we're going to get next year, or you don't get them. That's
Good
number
call.
two. And
That's a
number
good
three,
call. That's a good call.
the points you guys were making about the players, like and new stuff. This is the beauty of why I'm confident that the Jets are going to be better, is because with Aaron Glenn and Muji here now. Oh, thanks for muting that. With Muji and Glenn being new here, they don't. What's the word I'm looking for? Everybody on the roster is auditioning for their spot.
Right.
They better
Evaluation.
bring their best because these guys don't have any attachment. They're not their guys.
Nope.
So if you don't toe the line, if you don't play hard, if you're making mistakes, your ass is out or on the bench. So everybody's
Good point.
auditioning. There's no pecking order. You know what I mean? You have to earn it with these guys. And Aaron Glenn's coming in hot, with all his talk. So it's not like with Sala and Ulbrich that it's just like, oh, hey, do what you want. Inmates run the asylum. Not anymore. It's new management, new coaching staff. You got to re-earn it. Thank you.
hey, real.
Jetstream. Let me just say, I'm if they trade Brees, I'm not going to be like screaming about it. I
Mhm.
mean, whatever. I'm not emotionally attached to play. I don't buy jerseys. I don't do any of that.
Hey,
But I
Petey,
just think Brees Hall is valuable. That's
Petey.
my opinion,
I
and I'll
I
stand
agree.
on it for now.
Hey,
I
That's
hope
it.
he's on the team. I love Brees. I love him too, bro. I don't want him to go, but if we do, it better benefit us. We have too many positions that we need to get better at.
Mm-hmm.
Than to waste. If we get a second or third for Brees, I'm not using a second or third on another running back when I got Braylon Allen and
So you
Isaiah
all
Davis
right?
already on the roster.
So the jet stream real quick, and then Hector jump in. You're going to be upset if we have Genty and he's running for 135 yards a game. I don't
I,
think
I
so.
I'd be happy with the production, but I wouldn't take that chance. I'm not going to draft strength when we already have that position as a strength. We have so many deficits all across the
Okay,
field.
can I ask a question then,
Yeah,
real quick? So Okay, if we trade Brees, our running back room is still strong.
No,
I
Okay,
like the two
thank you,
guys on the team. I
thank
like
you.
I
it's
like
too
Braylon Allen.
short
So
of. They only took a
wait,
few snaps last year.
yeah. So what? So you Jetstream, you think that the running back room is strong, even if we trade Brees before we draft? Just say, okay, we trade Brees today. Our running back room is deep. No
I'm
way.
not, Petey. I'm not advocating
I,
that we trade
okay,
Brees. I'm just
I'm just
saying if we
asking. I'm
do,
sorry.
I'm not. I'm not. I've started off saying I don't want Brees to go anywhere. But if we do, being that this is a really deep running back class, we can get a stud in the 5th round.
Yep.
We were doing the mock yesterday, and
Yep.
June's in love with was it Hampton or Sampson from Tennessee?
Dylan
Can I get
Sampson,
in here for a
Tennessee.
sec?
Sampson.
Listen, I'm in the shower, man, trying to cool off, getting ready, and I got
Pause.
shit in my head right now because I had to stop. Because we keep talking fourth and fifth round picks. Who the fuck do we have on the team that's a fourth and a fifth round pick? Our drafting sucks. Okay, it's a new GM and that, but I don't trust these Jets. Why would I get rid of Brees for
Michael
fifth?
Carter.
I'm about to say Michael Carter.
Yeah.
Michael
How many
Carter, my
guys did
friend.
we have? How many misses? We had Inzick with
It's
14
a whole new
picks.
regime.
14
It's a
misses.
new
Saquon
regime, Hank.
Barry. Yeah.
Go to therapy, Heck. You need therapy,
Yeah,
bro.
I
It,
You
do.
gotta let go of the past.
I
Nah,
do.
he don't.
That's fine, Katie.
oh,
Petey, I'm back. Are we done trying to flip Brees for a
Mark,
fifth? These guys
you
are
could
silly.
ask it.
This is
Go ahead,
insane.
Mark. Be my guest.
Yeah. Yeah, who's the team that's giving you a third for Brees?
Not many, but the only thing I can see is maybe using him to trade back up into a round. I don't see us getting a straight pick for him, but I can see us if we want to get back into like the second round, using him at a pick to get back in the second round.
like what Jim said. Exactly what Jim said.
Don't the Cowboys need a running back?
Yeah, I'm
They
skeptical.
lost Dowdle.
This is a rich running back draft. Why wouldn't they draft? See, this is what happens. We need to we need to pay attention to other teams and their strategies. It's easy, I think, in this scenario to just concoct the perfect trade partner for this. Uh, I don't get it. If this is a rich running back draft, why are you flipping? Why are you getting anything for
Okay,
Brees?
so we won't get anything for
It
him
just
then.
the value doesn't make
We won't
sense.
get anything for him, and he'll be a comp pick because he's not staying. I'm just telling you that right now.
That's fine.
Okay,
In
then it
my
is what it
scenario,
is.
that's
But
fine because
why,
again, I'm
Mark?
looking at the whole
Mark, you're not
roster.
asking the question. Why all of a sudden do we need to get something for a player that we're going to lose if Reese is not valued by the fan base? He's not valued by a lot of the fan base, in my opinion. He's not.
Run it because it's 2025.
I think it's a vocal minority. I don't buy that part either.
Okay, well,
I think
most
I
go
think
ahead.
some folks have a short memory when it comes to Brees. I think a lot of
Sure,
fans don't. But I'm happy to be corrected by the listeners section. Listeners, what do you think of Brees?
Short
You can't
memory.
talk. Comment on the room.
Mark.
Reese
That
was
was
that
straight up.
dude 2 years
That was
ago.
funny.
Yeah.
This is
Come on.
amazing.
Seriously, put the poll up. Ask the fan base, not the vocal minority who say no. Because some folks are blinded by greed. I think when it comes to Brees,
What
they've
Mark?
concocted a
Why?
scenario in
Mark.
their
Greed? He
head
hasn't
where you're going to get a
done shit.
two and a
What
three.
should be?
Can I not get
Yeah,
interrupted,
Mark. What
please?
should the
Some
poll
people
be?
are blinded by the fact that they want to get a 2 or a 3. What should the poll be? Would you trade Brees for a fifth? How about
No,
that?
that's no. I'm not doing that.
Who said that? Who said trade him for a fifth?
For the folks that are saying that, because listen, it's clever, man. This is slick. Because folks are like, oh, well, you're going to get a 2 for Brees, or you're going to get a 3, or you're going to get a 3 in like a next year. Yeah, they're concocting ideal trade scenarios and a rich running, and then they'll tell you with the other side of their mouth that this is a rich running back draft. I heard Chris Brockman say on the Rich Eisen show, "Oh, you're probably going to get a fifth for Brees."
Wow.
Like he's not a Jet fan. Jet fans are trying to paint a pretty picture, like you're going to get a high. What are we? It's a rich running back draft. You're seeing the same thing. Like, what are you doing? And I'm leaving out the football. I'm leaving out the part where you just brought in Justin Fields, who needs a rushing attack to be successful. He's learning a whole new offense. Like, and you're going to make that one area which may be a strength on the team, although you guys maybe don't think it's a strength because you don't like Brees. Okay, got it. Check. I understand. I don't understand that viewpoint either. But you're going to have to run the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Like, and listen, that includes like 2 back sets with Justin Fields on the field. They're going to do that too. I've seen them do that.
It would be a mistake.
So,
Mark, it would be a mistake to get rid of him.
I think if you're an opposing fan, you would love to get Brees off the team because now that's a lot. You guys are putting a lot in the basket of these two other guys. And I like Allen, and I agree with Buckeye actually on Davis. I think Davis, look, if you want a guy that can't run between the tackles, it's
What?
Davis. He's better in space. He's got great hands. He's got some speed, but watching him play between the tackles, I'm not putting Davis. And Davis doesn't have breakaway speed, and neither does Allen. You know who does? Brees.
So who is Brees broken away from last year? Matter of fact,
Here we
go
go.
back, go
Here we
go
go.
back 2 years ago. Who
Oh,
did Brees
June.
break away from and get walked down? He been walked down the last 2 years. He had the breakaway
Bree,
speed his rookie
yeah,
year before he got
So
hurt.
A lot of
June,
delusional
June,
comments.
he actually had a touchdown against the Colts where he split everybody and they had no chance to catch him. Number
Okay,
one, number two. 2 years ago, you said 2 years ago, he had that long
I
catch
just
against
said.
the Giants
I
that
just
he broke. He ran away from
I
everybody. There
just
wasn't a
said
guy
two.
within. All right, but I'm just saying,
I
you're
got one
acting
for you,
like this
Pete.
guy doesn't
I
have
got one for you.
speed.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
How about this one, June? Do you remember the Green Bay game? This is before they got
Yes,
that was
yes, sir.
we'll see
Yes, sir. In the Green
what
Bay
happened
game.
there. Hey, and he decided Brees, who you say
Did we lose him?
Yeah,
Yeah. Hey, real quick,
June muted him.
Jets, if I could clear something up, Jets
He
Commute
can't.
is a therapy section, a
it
session
is.
for all of us.
It
It's
is.
one hell of a talk.
Yes,
So
it
I'm
is.
not the only one in therapy, just so I can clear that up for my boy.
did
What
we
He
what do you
lose
goes to
it?
think?
therapy
Are we
like
still
I
here?
do.
What do you think what do you
Hello?
think the compensation would be for a bag
You're
of
here, Mark.
June's takes? What do you think the comp would be for that?
Uh,
A first
well, wait,
rounder.
hold on.
Two first
Let me get
rounders.
guys. Let me. Good
What am I giving
morning.
for James takes? An eighth
Mike
round pick,
Mitchell
June.
is in. Gu- guys, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, we got you.
All right. So Mike Mitchell has joined. Mike, how are you? I know you wrote the article. There's the mic button on the left bottom. You told me you haven't been in the space talking,
Okay,
but there
hopefully
you are.
this works. Okay, hopefully
It
this
does.
works out. I got enough voices in my head already. I'm hearing like 700 of them at once about
Don't
Brees.
worry. You're not
Thanks
going to
for
get
having.
interrupted, Mark. Mike.
Yeah,
Mike, you're
it's
welcome.
okay. You
So,
do it.
so Mike, you want to tell us what you do first, and then, you're a football writer, number one, but you want to just give us a little background to yourself?
Yeah. Where do I start? Yeah, I've been writing about pro football leagues and teams and the Jets, and for a long time now. You know, been a football fan for over 4 decades. So that shows you how old I am. I'm 49. So I started out pretty much the Connor Long age range of being a diehard football fan. And so as far as the Jets go, I've covered them at the Jet Press, writing about them. And over the years, because I cover leagues and been in contact with agents and players and coaches and executives, sometimes you develop, contacts and people you communicate with. And so I recently wrote a story because at the Jet Press, I'm covering several different leagues, but I wrote a story at the Jet Press about the possibility of Brees Hall being traded, with Denver being a likely target. The reason why I wrote that article, I don't care about clickbait nonsense. I don't give a shit about clout, because I was in contact directly with people in the Denver organization and with the Jets. And I think with PD, I showed him, maybe I shouldn't do this because a lot of the stuff I do is off the record, but I showed him a couple like screenshots to kind of verify some of the conversations that I have with people behind the scenes. And, when it comes to the Jets potentially trading Brees Hall, there would likely be a good amount of suitors for him. The problem is we as Jets fans, we put Brees Hall on a pedestal, and I'm a fan of his as well. We assume that, he's without a doubt, you're going to get a second round pick for him. You're going to get this, you're going to get that. When around the league, the viewpoint is a little bit different. It's the player itself doesn't always match up to the value because there's a lot of like different factors involved. While Brees Hall's very young, only 23. I think he's going to be 24 in May. He's got a history of injuries. He's in the final year of his contract, and he's likely going to command, I don't know, anywhere from $7 to $10 million per year, depending on what type of season he has upcoming. So the people I spoke to in the Denver side, it comes down to, like anything with any trade, it comes down to what are you willing to give up, and what are you willing to accept. And so I don't think the Jets are just going to give him away. But I also think because of the strength in this, it's funny how this works. Because of the strength of the running back position in this upcoming draft, the Jets would consider trading Breece Hall to get a third wheel, so to speak, in their committee backfield. And Denver may pass on giving up a valuable asset for Breece Hall because they could be in play for moving up from their spot, which I believe is 20 in the draft, to get a Genty or a Hampton or someone along that lines, because that it is such an obvious need for Denver at the running back position, so much so that Sean Payton has publicly talked about needing what he calls a joker at the position, like a Kamara type, a guy who can be a factor in the run game and in the pass game. So, and Breece kind of fits that bill. And then when you go beyond that, after communications I've had, and then you just look at it from the outside perspective, there are so many connections, like an absurd amount of connections between the Jets front office and the Broncos front office. You know, you got George Payton, the general manager of Denver Broncos. His brother is the right-hand man of Darren Bougie, who happened to be the right-hand man of George Payton the last several years. Sean Payton, the head coach, is connected to Aaron Glenn. Rick Spielman was basically everybody's boss in the equation, with George Payton underneath him, and now Spielman aiding Muji. And, so, I mean, the need is there. Whether or not the deal happens, that remains to be seen. But the Jets are willing to listen, and Denver's interested. Now, I think if the Broncos don't make a move in round one, if they don't select a running back in their spot, or if they don't make an aggressive move, because just about everybody and their mother has Genty pegged going to the Raiders. They're at 6. So if with that knowledge, if someone values Genty, and wouldn't Denver like to screw over their rival, the Raiders, you'd have to make an aggressive jump to get in front of him in order to get him. So I think if a deal goes down, it would be on day 2, potentially.
That's fair, Mike. Mike, thanks for that, and appreciate you coming on. Mike, now what? Okay, so you said I'm not trying to overvalue Breece. I would just rather ride it out and just let him play out his deal and reevaluate him next year, because to me, Justin Fields is going to make Breece Hall better, especially if Fields is, making plays on the field. Give me your thoughts on that.
Sure, you would think so. And I'll just setting aside my journalism or whatever the hell my writing, I'm a Jets fan, so I would like to see Breece Hall remain a Jet. I'm a fan of his. I would like, as you mentioned, as most Jets fans are mentioning, like to see how Hall operates in the new offense with Justin Fields, which is obviously a benefit to him because teams can't just key in on the running back all the time because of the ability of Fields to run all over them. So I get that part of it. I think from a Jets perspective, if I'm taking the fandom side out of it, got to ask yourself, you figure Garrett Wilson's going to get a huge contract extension. Sauce Gardner's going to get a huge contract extension. At some point, the Jets have to make a decision on Jermaine Johnson down the road as well. He's coming off a serious injury. So who's the odd man out in terms of getting a long-term deal worth $10 million a season? And the obvious answer there is Breece. So if you were gonna say, which one of the current young Jet star players is not gonna get a long-term deal, the likelihood is you point directly to Breece on that one. Teams don't like to make that commitment. Unfortunately, the Giants got burned doing that with Saquon, an all-world player there. So it's when it comes to the Jets, is if your plan is we'll let him play out this year, but we're likely not going to re-up him. We're going to let him walk. Then if you do that, the only compensation that you get in that scenario is if you don't sign any prominent free agents and somehow the formula works out where you get a 3rd-round pick compensatory in 2027. So, so you weigh that. And then, the Jets, Aaron Glenn openly saying that their backfield's going to be more than just one player. Kind of decreases Hall's value if he's not going to be a 300 touch guy on the open market. So he's not going to publicly say anything like I want out of here and all that stuff. But that could hurt his market value too. And if the Jets are operating with a three-headed backfield moving forward, they might see, and I've heard Muji talk about the depth of the running back position in this draft, how much he likes that position. It's if they do move him, you can kind of connect the dots as to why they would in terms of the long-term future and how they plan on utilizing their backfield.
Yeah, Mike, let me just switch subjects real quick. Would you give Jermaine Johnson the 50-year option?
Again, it's so hard sometimes with these things because as a fan, I love Jermaine Johnson. I think he's such a high character guy, tough guy. He has leadership qualities. He's the kind of player you want to put a C on his jersey because he has captain qualities. He's the kind of, but you can't just reward players just based on loyalty. You got to see them perform, and he's going to have a little bit of a tough transition this year because in that position you have to be able to plant off your feet, and so him getting up to speed and being at the level he was before his injury is going to be a challenge. So you have to play a wait and see game with Jermaine. If he plays to that level, yes, he's a premium player. He's good against the run too, which is, the Jets were hurt last year with a stupid JFM trade, which Denver stole from the Jets last year. That really hurt their running attack. And McDonald's a good pass rusher, but he's not good against the run. So Jermaine's an important element to this defense. So if he plays to the level he did before the injury and he doesn't show any issues there, then yeah, you'd have to pick up that option.
Mark, do you have anything for Mike and June?
Mike, thanks for coming, man. I mean, I really appreciate it, brother. I tried to break the 100 button on everything you said, brother. I'm telling you, this is amazing right here. Real quick, and take your Jet fandom out of it, like we say. Would you say Brees is an average running back?
Ooh.
Maybe slightly above average? I mean, looking at his numbers and whatnot.
Yeah, I want to go average on him. What's crazy?
Thank
It's
you.
like we were kind of spoiled in the early going with Brees Hall because he's such a dynamic talent at that size with that speed, his big playability. He showed glimpses of greatness with the team. Unfortunately, the thing is, he's still relatively young. I think if he was 26, I would be more keen to go, let's just trade him now. I hate to do that to running backs, but they age worse than any other position. We've seen it constantly over the years. Like all these superstar elite running backs, because of injuries and wear and tear, their skills deteriorate. They're not the same player. We were fortunate as Jets fans to have Curtis Martin, who didn't have elite speed or elite size or strength. So as time passed, you didn't get a step slower. It wasn't a factor, him losing that dynamic skills trait, because he had such tremendous vision, was an awesome runner, knew how to follow his blocks, had a good offensive line in front of him, right? And so I don't think Brees is average. We've seen the potential of his peak. The question is, can he reach that again? Now, last year, he played a little bit better down the stretch, but, his longest run last season was, I believe, 42 yards. He didn't show the explosiveness. Now, a lot of that had to do with the coaching around him. Keith Carter was a disgrace, shouldn't have been on the staff. Saleh should have fired him a year ago. They had him coordinating the run game. And offensive linemen hated Carter, so I don't understand why Saleh stuck with him. But anyway, that's the past. But so coaching definitely played a factor. I know a lot of people want to blame Aaron Rodgers too because checking out of runs, et cetera, et cetera. But I'd like to see what Brees looks like this year. But if the arrow starts pointing downward and he's not the same explosive player he was, the injury, you hope that's not the case. But you see this with a lot of running backs. I lived in a world, although this is like one of the worst free agent signings ever, but I lived in a world when Le'Veon Bell was a world beater and he fell off quick. The Todd Gurley's of the world, all these guys, by the time they're in their late 20s, in the football world, it's funny because like when you're like 28, I'd love to be 28, 29 again. But in the football world, when you're 28, 29, you're an old man, especially a running back. No position takes the beating that running backs do, especially if you're a 300 touch guy. You're being tackled, provided you're never scoring untouched. You're being hit and contacted on every play from every angle 20 plus
Mm-hmm.
times a game. So it takes its toll on these guys. I hope Brees is able to recapture it. I still think he's a quality back, but he looked like a world beater in the early going before. It's the Jets' luck that anytime they get a superstar player, there's issues with him. We've been fortunate. I'm probably jinxing it now. Oh, God, I hope not. But we've been fortunate that Garrett and Sauce have managed to stay healthy to this point. Because usually with Jets fandom, I lived it with Altoon and so many other players. Guys go through so many. Altoon had like 1 billion concussions, like undocumented. Could barely turn the lights on in his house because he had a
Dennis Bird.
So
Yeah.
Dennis Bird breaking his neck on a football field. So like anytime the Jets have a lot of bad luck when it comes to star players. We saw with Aaron Rodgers 4 plays in. So yeah, that's the thing with Brees. I think Brees is an awesome dude. I think he's a very good talent. It just you kind of want to see the early Jet Brees Hall. Maybe we see it. I don't want to like if someone comes to the Jets and says we're just gonna give you a 5th round pick. Dude's injured all the time. He's in the last year of his contract. We're just gonna give you a 5th. I would say, well, I'd tell him fuck you. But I know that's not how the football world operates, But we also can't expect like all of a sudden Dallas is going to give us like a 1, no bullshit. That's just they're not doing that. So it's like as much as the fandom values him and has seen the potential of him being a megastar, the NFL world doesn't look at running backs that way. So it's unfortunate, even though last year we saw certain running backs, especially Saquon, a former Jets fan, light the world when he went to Philadelphia behind that great offensive line. Best coach, arguably assistant coach in the league in Stoutland with Philadelphia. So a great offensive line coach there. So anyway, but the Jets are willing to listen. They're not going to say that publicly. They will listen to any offers for Brees because they have to pick and choose. They're going to break the bank for Sauce and Garrett. So they have to pick and choose who's going to be with the team moving forward. And the fact that Aaron Glenn and these guys are not coming out and saying, Brees is our guy, he's our superstar, we're going to get the ball as much as possible, kind of tells me that they're okay with the world without him.
So, Mike, my last question: do you think would you entertain if someone offered you a 4th
I didn't
in
catch
this
that.
year's
Can you say that
draft?
again?
I said, would you entertain a 4th round pick for him in this year's draft?
I think my asking price, I know sometimes people settle. I think my asking price would be a 3 and something else. But whether or not I would be able to get that, I would like. It's tough because, like I said, the fan side of me wants me to just ride it out with him and see what happens. So just see what happens with the Fields and all that. So depends on the offer, but I can't speak for the Jets front office, like what their rationale would be. But it's a new regime. Like they inherited a lot of these players, so yeah, they have like respect and they're not stupid. They see like a Jamie and Sherwood, even though they didn't draft him, and they re-upped him, paid him good money to be the quarterback of the defense. So it's not like they are looking at these inherited players in poor fashion, but they're going to make decisions for the long term rather than just short term. So I don't. If Jets fans think they're going to get a second, I think they're sadly mistaken. I mean, I spoke to somebody in the Denver organization where they're debating whether or not even Brees is worth a 3. So we'll see.
Vince, go ahead. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, good morning, guys. Mike, 2 quick questions for you, and thanks for giving us your time. First part of it is, I know you
Hey, no
said that
problem.
the Jets will listen. Now, does that mean that the Jets, they're not actively shopping him, they're just taking calls on him, or are they making any contact? And the second question I have is,
No, they're they're not shopping Brees. I'll say this: they're not shopping Brees, but the topic of him potentially being dealt has been broached, spoken about, and it's a possibility on their end. So it's like they're not like going out and like cold calling every single NFL team. Hey, would you like Brees? Hey, would you like Brees? But they're open to it and have discussed the possibility of dealing if the right offer comes along. And look, all these NFL teams, we talk about the general managers, the director of college scouting, etc. Every single NFL team has one scout or multiple scouts who scout every other team in the NFL. So you have guys who are pro scouts who know exactly which players have expiring contracts, which players have interest in moving on. And then when they place phone calls to other teams, they say, well, what about Brees? And so, like, you study, like, if you're studying the Jets roster, you can ask for Garrett. You can call him up, and what the hell, give it a shot. It's like fantasy football. Like, what would you want for Garrett? You can ask for him, but they're more logically will pinpoint certain guys that are in expiring deals or someone that maybe is not a scheme fit or etc. And they'll call teams that are looking to reload or rebuild and see if they're willing to part with veterans. So, teams around the league like Pittsburgh, Dallas, obviously Denver, they have a need at running back, and when you're looking at the veteran market, of star runners that are on teams, one of the first names that come up in any conversation in an NFL office is Brees Hall. Like, hey, maybe we can get him. So the Jets are willing to listen, and they've talked about that possibility. The question is, what level of compensation they'd be willing to accept for a Hall. Like I said, I hope it don't happen, but it's a possibility. I know from direct conversations that it's a possibility.
If I can ask one follow up with that, so obviously, if you're willing to listen for a player, you have another plan in mind. I don't think the 49ers are going to be willing to listen to Christian McCaffrey deals because they don't really have a plan behind him. Is a lot of the reason the Jets are
Right.
willing to listen for an offer for Brees more about Brees and his contract and his health and his production, or is it also because they have faith in Allen and Davis and potentially drafting a running back in a very heavily deep running back class?
Yeah, I think it's part of all that. I think it's the how deep they feel their backfield is, how much they like the current talents in that room, how deep this draft is at the running back position. Now it's one of the stronger positions in the draft. So you can add a young running back on a rookie contract in that vein. So yeah, I think the Jets, like, anybody's willing to listen to any offer. If you're a GM, you want to listen. But like I said, that the topic has been brought up about the possibility of dealing him. And because of their style, which they're looking to utilize multiple runners. Like, if you have Christian McCaffrey, it's like a crime. I understand he gets hurt all the time, but it's a crime if your game plan is not to give the guy the ball 25 to 30 times a game. You want to win, and he's your most dynamic player, provided he's healthy. If you have Christian McCaffrey in your roster, you're not really, the Niners have good backs, but you're not really like trying to game plan it where the other guys get 10 carries each. You're doing a disservice to your team so for them to kind of have a philosophy that maybe Brees is not, hate to say it this way, but worthy of that role of being the centerpiece guy is going to get 25 to 30 touches a game. And we're going to get these other guys work. Kind of tells me that they don't have him on the same pedestal that a lot of us Jets fans do.
Well said. Thanks, Vince. Jarek, what's up?
Jarek, you here?
Yep, there it is. I'm talking with my mic muted.
Go ahead.
Hey, Mike, I wanted to ask, just to kind of just more of a scenario sort of question. Let's just say Brees has a really good year. Maybe has like maybe around 1,100, 1,200 yards rushing, and of course all-purpose yards. He's always getting you at least 300 or 400 receiving yards, so he gets to at least top three of all-purpose yards. Knowing how running backs have kind of once again emerged right? The value of the position has kind of increased, and you're starting to see running backs take a lot more, you know, bigger contracts, at least from a per year basis. And also, James Cook, James Cook is asking for $15 million, right? So knowing if Brees gets that and his productivity, what's the limit that you kind of give him per year for his contract? And do you think that Brees Hall could even expect to, go over to, let's just say 11, 12, or even higher?
Yeah, you would think it would be in that ballpark. It depends on a lot of these agents, and I've spoken with agents that have running backs. They're looking more so than almost any other position. They're looking to cash in as quickly as possible for their player because they know the window is limited. So if you're fortunate enough as an agent to have a star running back that's going to see a second contract, you want to, because there might not be a third one. So you want to cash in as much as you can. You would think someone of Brees Hall's talents as a feature runner / receiver, presumably, at least he has been in the past. We'll see what happens with the new regime and the way they use their backs. But you'd figure 7 to 10 million. If he has a big time year, he'll be looking for a lot more than that. They'd want a decent signing bonus, all that. I guess we can cross that bridge if we get there. If the Jets maintain him on the roster and he has a huge year, then they got to make that decision, because if he has a big year and he hits the open market, some team's going to give him the money. It's just a question of whether or not the Jets feel that that's the right call for them, because I would say like in about a month's time, maybe 2 months' time, we're going to see major deals signed for Sauce, like astronomical deals for Sauce and Garrett. And there'll be money left over. The cap's going up. There's room to make these moves, but how much of the money you want to allocate? So it's like, could be a cost-efficient measure. You see with the Jets free agency this year, it's a lot of one-year contracts. They didn't sign very many guys to major deals. Cisco got a nice contract, but he's on a one-year deal. Stevens, they signed a pretty hefty deal, and says something about what they think about the player, even though a lot of people feel that he didn't have a very good year last year for the Ravens. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So how they want to allocate their funds after they dole out major money to Garrett and Sauce is like an interesting question for them. It's like he's young enough where if he proves he's healthy and he has a good year, he's young enough where he's in line to get, standard top 10 running back money.
Mike, I think he's going to get between 8 and 12 million a year. I've been saying that for a couple of weeks now. I think he's getting 8 to 12 on the open market. If he has a similar year
Yeah,
to even last year, he's going to get that. Go ahead.
he should. He should absolutely,
Yep.
no question. I agree.
My,
Obviously, it's contingent on him being healthy, right?
yep. Mike, real quick, and thanks again for joining. I, saw you on Jake Asman last week, and I know you've been in the space before as a listener, but thanks for giving us your time.
Yes.
Mike, you did say, you got to wait and see with Jermaine now to see how he plays for the 5th-year option. I'm not trying to, push back on you here, but the Jets have to make that decision May. So from the sounds of it, you wouldn't do it because they can't wait to see how he plays this year. They have to, it's the time is May. So Sauce and Garrett are going to get it. The
Right.
question is Jermaine. So would you say now you wouldn't give
Yeah,
it to
I think
Jermaine based on
I would
your
know.
answer?
I would pick up. Yeah, I probably didn't. I
Okay.
probably didn't communicate it
It's
properly.
all
I
good.
would pick up the 5th-year option. Yeah, I was thinking more along the lines of a long-term suggestion. So maybe I didn't
Right.
comprehend your
Okay.
question correctly. So I was
It's
thinking more
fine.
like picking and choosing who gets the long-term deals. Yeah, as far as a 5th-year option, absolutely. You pick it up
Okay.
and then you go from there. But I was thinking, my head was along the wavelength of, here are the Jets' young star players. Which ones are going to be long-term investments? And my head started thinking about, whether or not Jermaine's going to deserve a long-term future with the Jets. You can't really determine that until you see, because there's a lot of guys who've had the type of injury. Jermaine's he's a stud, right? He's in great shape. I don't doubt his work ethic. We all saw as Jets fans, how hard he worked to get to the point where he was. So I don't doubt his work ethic at all. But there's a lot of players in that position that play that position who just
Hmm.
their play never matches up after a serious injury like that. So some guys do. I know modern medicine, technology, all this stuff, but you hope that Jermaine can match the level of play because he was ascending. I think he was even getting better before he got hurt. So being an all-around player. So, and I'm a huge fan of him. I think he's a high character guy. You want that guy in the locker room. So but obviously he's got to produce at a high level for him to be considered long term. But as far as picking up an option, absolutely yes.
Buckeye, go ahead.
But
I agree with you on Jermaine, and I agree on the character side alone. I'll tell you, and I may have missed this part. The guy that I think has a likelihood of having one of those contract year, best year type Quinnen types is AVT. I think AVT is going to put together his best year in the pros, which is going to cause another one, which is like, how do we let him out of the building now?
Yeah, it's a lot of tough choices. Another guy, that's a high character who's been through adversity. It seems like every young star Jet players, but minus Garrett and Sauce, knock on wood. But between Breeze, AVT, Jermaine, all these like proven guys, the Jets hit on these draft picks. But unfortunately, they've gone through some adversity. AVT is going to be a tough call too. A lot of people don't want to pay interior players premium dollar. That's why sometimes those guys get out into the open market because of things like that. And then eventually, T's had that luxury for a while, like the best interior in the sport, and then he just recently dealt away Thuney. So, Trey Smith had to get a boatload of money, and Creed Humphrey's an awesome player. So we'll see if cross that bridge too. AVT's another guy who needs to go out there, and you would think he would be better this coming season. New offensive line coach, Steve Hyden, although he's a tight ends coach by nature, he's been he was a blocker as a player, and he's part of all those like run schemes and blocking schemes of Detroit. So he understands how that works. So AVT is, if he has a big year, he's going to command good money because he's fairly young, and if he proves he's healthy, that a lot of that stuff's in the rear view mirror with him. Then yeah, he's a high character guy too. So he's definitely a guy you want in the locker room. So he's going to have
Mike,
to
is
go
there
out
anyone
there and play at a high level this year to command big time money.
Mike, is there anyone that if they give you that type of contract year performance, you just let walk?
What's that?
Is there anyone
I didn't
of
catch
the
that.
group, and there's a lot of there's a lot of guys, Quincy as well. Is there anyone in this roster that gives you that banger contract year, and you just are like, you know what, tough choice, but let them walk?
I'd like to keep all of our best players. I hate to say that all of our, but that's how I feel as a Jet fan my whole life. But it's you'd like to make the guys who are at that level, who are performing for you at a high level, that bring value on the field and off. You want to re-up all of them. With Brees, it's tough. I love Brees Hall, but depends how high the contract gets with some of these players, right? So if Brees has a monster year, you're gonna just want to tag him and not let him go anywhere. You can't possibly, if he's a centerpiece player for the team, and because regardless if his play fell off last year, whatever. If you're looking at the Jets roster right now, obviously this is pre-draft. It's Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson are the two best players on offense, and then overall team, you would say talent-wise, production-wise, he's in that top 5 conversation on the entire roster, maybe top 7. As far as guys like Quincy, I hate to put it this way, it's tough because he's got his brother on the team, so you don't want to do damage or burn that bridge. And we already saw Quinnen Williams complaining about being in another rebuild. But if the Jets were to trade away Quincy, wouldn't exactly make Quinnen happy. But Quincy, at his position, I hate to put it this way, but it's kind of replaceable. So if that guy has a monster year and is looking for a huge cash in, you can find another linebacker. I hate to put it that way, but who plays that kind of role. Whereas certain players like Garrett and Wilson are elite, top skill guys that can impact games favorably for you, or stalwart on the offensive line or a great edge rusher who's great against the run like Jermaine Johnson. Those are guys you want to ink long term because they're very hard to find.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike, I got a few more before I let you run. And again, thanks. So based off this conversation or whatever, how many good players do you think the Jets have right now on the team? Like, would you say there's at least 10 people, 10 guys to build around? Or because I brought this up this morning, I just want to
Yeah,
hear your thoughts on it.
sure.
Okay.
You know,
And
it's
you want to
crazy
name
when
them?
sure, I'll
Yeah,
name
we got
players
you.
on the team that I attend. Yeah. So okay, the best players on the Jets: Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson,
Mm-hmm.
Elijah
Yep.
Elijah Vera Tucker, Jermaine Johnson, Quinnen Williams. Then beyond that, we're kind of getting in a unique zone here. So, like based on last year's play, you'd say Simpson is in that conversation because he played at a high level. I know a lot of Jets fans weren't crazy about that signing at the time. Jamie and
Mm-hmm.
Sherwood, obviously, based on last year's play. So I don't know what I'm up to there, 6 or 7. But those are
7.
some of the best players. Then it's like, yeah, it's pretty close to the rest of the roster. Like a lot of guys are like, so I don't know if I'd go that far on Titman. Olaf Fashanu, definitely based on the sample size he gave us last year. You get talking about premium left tackle. Unfortunately, once again, another Jet player getting hurt, but he's in that conversation for top 10 most valuable player on the roster. Don't know if I mentioned Brees, but he's there. Let's
Yep.
see.
No, that's
Yeah,
really close.
so that's basically,
How about how
DJ
about
Reed.
how about
DJ Reed would have
yeah,
been
how
in this
about
conversation, but
Michael
he's going
Carter?
down.
Do you consider Michael Carter a
Michael
good
Carter,
player?
absolutely. Michael Carter is arguably one of the top 3 slot players in the league. Fortunately, he got hurt last year, but he's one of the best players at his position in the league. It's a special position, playing slot corner. So absolutely, Michael Carter's in that conversation. A lot of
PD
the
got
other
a Venmo
talents are
Mike
very
now.
similar. Thanks for bringing up Carter. It escaped me there, but a lot of the other talents on the
Sure.
roster are similar. You got Quincy Williams. You got Will McDonald. Will McDonald's a good pass rusher. I still got to see more from him, but he's not very good against the run. He's a liability there, to be honest. So I'm not saying he's like Aaron Maben from years ago, but he's kind of lightweight and doesn't bring you much in that area. And the Jets really missed JFM. JFM would have been a top 10 guy. So that's pretty much it. You got a cluster of players that are all, kind of in the same boat. The Joe Titman's a nice player. He's young. He's done a good job at center. We'll see what happens if the Jets kind of alter their front offensive line a little bit with the acquisition of Myers. The Jets front office has been talking him up. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. The thing is with NFL teams is like every NFL team has good players on it, even the bad teams. If no matter who you pick out, the Titans, the Jaguars, the Browns, you'll find elite players. And the Jets do have some elite players, but they don't have enough of them. And they need more difference makers. And
But
obviously,
Mike, the issue is if this team
what's
wins
that?
5, 6, 7 games. The issue is if this team wins 5, 6, 7 games, and then all of a sudden, the best thing that this team can have is flexibility of cap, flexibility of draft picks, flexibility. Like if we just lock in everyone I heard you say like 15, 20 minutes ago, we have a tendency to overrate our players, like wildly overrate our players. If you lock in every
We do.
contract,
We
there
do.
goes the
Like I said,
cap flexibility.
it's
Yeah.
true. So
I'm just
there's
saying, I know the
certain guys. That's
narration
why.
around the league
That's
is,
yeah.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, people say the cap's going up. Cap goes up for everyone. That's not a thing. So like it doesn't matter if the cap is $1 or $1 billion, it goes up for everyone. So it doesn't give the Jets any unfair advantage that the cap's going up. And that shouldn't just be about securing a 5, 6, 7 win team.
Well, yeah, you got to keep your best. You got to keep your best players, especially if they're younger. But sometimes in some situations you have to pick and choose who you want to keep over other players. It's one of the few things that Joe Douglas did well. I didn't like him as a GM in terms of safeguarding his roster. We saw how he botched that in 2023 when Rodgers got hurt. I didn't like him from a trading perspective for free agents. A lot of his free agent signings weren't great. His early draft was awful. But Joe did hit, Becton Mims didn't work out. But Joe Douglas did hit on some key premier players. So there, and the Jets, even though this is a new regime, they're smart to want to keep some of them. We'll see if they can keep all of them. There is cap room to make it work. They don't have, the bottom line with the Jets is like, they decided they could have taken the route of going all in this year, and let's just keep Rodgers, let's just keep Adams. Let's tweak this with better coaching, and let's try this again. Let's run it back and try it again. They decided to let some of their better veterans go. So Moses is gone, obviously DJ Reed, Rodgers, whatever anybody thinks about him, and then Adams. So they're going to have to, this regime, the way they set it up, but not splurging in free agency, they're going to have to hit the same type of home runs. I don't want to give them too much credit, but the same type of home runs JD hit with Garrett, Sauce, Jermaine, Brees, those premium picks. The Jets going into a draft where they got to come out of there with 3 or 4 starters. They can't afford to miss. So that's kind of the story right now in terms of roster composition. And if this was a Browns Spaces, we'd be sitting here talking about how many of the players on the roster are elite. So obviously it goes without saying Myles Garrett, but there's some fans in there that'll be telling you, about this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy and all the upside. So when you're in that fan bubble, you do have a tendency to overrate your own players. Every NFL team has elite players on their roster, even the worst teams in the league, which unfortunately the Jets inexplicably were part of that group last year.
Mike, what would you do at 7? Would you take Membu, Tyler Warren, Will Campbell? What would you do?
I think that it's boring. I think that the logical, sensible kind of thing, a by the book thing, is to take Membu or Campbell and to take an offensive lineman and solidify your offensive line. I kind of want the Jets to swing for the fences and get somebody like Warren, because I think that he can impact the run game as well as the pass game. And I actually think he has leadership traits where he can be a galvanizer in the locker room. And former quarterback, he's very smart. He's tough. He plays physical style. He's going to be a fan favorite, whatever team drafts him, because of the way he plays. So I've been on Warren before people started flipping their wigs about him being projected as a top 10 pick, which is not great for, it doesn't speak very well of this current class that's coming out. But I would like to see the Jets draft Tyler Warren. I hate to be on that bandwagon, but I was on that wagon initially. I'm a fan of the prospect and the player and what he could mean to the team. The Jets need more difference makers, not like run-of-the-mill kind of okay players. That's the difference between the good teams and the great teams, the good teams and the bad teams, is they have elite difference-making players. So I know that tight end is not a position that typically produces that. But if you look at the 2 of the best quarterbacks in the last 2 decades, Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, they had elite tight ends that impacted games. So we'll see if Warren is that type of player. I think he can be. I know there's a lot of people that are critical of his game. Some people are nitpicking certain things. I get it, but I see it. But having watched him play and seeing his style, I think he'd be a great fit for the Jets. But if they go the Membu route or Campbell route or someone along that lines, or trade down and get another receiver, the team needs difference makers in the passing game. They need more than just Garrett. So you'd like to see him walk out of draft with at least 2 new weapons that are going to be immediate contributors.
Fair enough. Mike, I've asked you a lot. I appreciate you coming on, man. I feel like there's a little bit of a delay with the space, but you've been kind enough to give us a lot of your time, and I hope to talk to you down the road soon again, man. We really appreciate this.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your space with me and allowing me to ramble on for like 83 straight minutes. I appreciate it.
Nah, Mike, it's not rambling. We want to hear from you. So thanks. And
yeah, thank you.
Mike, yeah, shout out to the 70s babies, because I'm a 70s baby too.
Yeah, 76 guy here. So yeah. So I'm a diehard with this team. Like it's this franchise, this team is already beaten down my spirit enough, but we're still standing. So that's kind of the way it
Yep,
goes.
Mike. Yeah, it's. I mean, last year Mike
I
broke
love this
me as
team.
a fan.
I love the,
Mike last.
it's a weird
Uh,
passion.
yeah, last year broke me, Mike, as a fan. I just couldn't take it anymore. It was brutal, man. The losses, especially with the weather there, it was cold. It was just they should have won a lot more games than they actually won. So that's
Sure.
all I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I know
say.
we can. I know. Yeah, I agree with you. It was so disheartening. There was a lot of Jets fans last year that were like longtime Jets fans that I know that were checking out. Um, and I know that any NFL fan base can look at their entire slate of games during a season and go, if we only won this one, if we only won this one, if we only won this one, we should have won this one. Well, we could have won 8 or 9 games. And but the Jets did have, they blew an unprecedented amount of fourth quarter leads. Um, and so, even as bad as they were, as ill-conceived as they were, as poorly coached as they were, they should have won more games. But it's part of the NFL. Like, the difference between a team winning 9 or 10 games is not. It's a very thin margin between the team that wins like 6 or 7. So you got to make plays in the clutch. You got to come through, and the Jets didn't do that for sure last year. It was extremely disappointing, unfortunately. Um, Another disheartening chapter in the history of the New York Jets. Hopefully, the better days are ahead. You would hope so with one of our own, Aaron Glenn, uh, leading the charge. It's going to hurt that much more if he fails because he's one of our own. But if he succeeds, it's going to be like football heaven.
Yeah, Mike. Last question for me. It's a rapid fire, so just yes or no. Do the Jets
Go.
win over 6 games next year?
Yes,
With it,
I'll go
I
be
mean,
an
the
optimist.
roster's not set. The roster's not set. So, I mean, I should ask you
Yeah,
this
I'm just
after
gonna
the
say.
draft.
Yeah, I would say after the draft, but I would, just for now, just being an optimist on this one. Even though every indication that this is gonna be one of the top 3 teams picking in the draft next year, um, you would think. I think they'll exceed expectations because the expectations are going to be lowered immensely, and so I think they'll win 7 or 8 games. I know that sounds crazy. We haven't seen the draft yet, but I think they'll exceed. I think Fields going to do a good job in the offense. They're going to operate under Tanner Angstrom, and they'll be competitive and fun to watch.
Okay, and last one is Brees Hall on the field for the Jets week 1 this year.
All right. Yes. Yes. I don't think the Jets are going to get the compensation they would look for him, and I think the other teams are going to lowball the Jets. So you'd hope Muji's smart enough to not just give them away.
Mike, thanks for your time. Have a great day. Go Jets, and we'll talk to you down the road or whenever, soon enough. All right, maybe
Thank
right
you very
after the
much,
draft.
gentlemen. Thanks for
Thanks,
sharing
Mike.
the space, and that would be great. And thank you.
Have a great day, Mike.
You too. Thank you.
All right, Mike Mitchell. Thanks. Guys, any thoughts? I know everybody was listening, but Brees isn't going anywhere, Jarek. I'm messing with you. Who knows?
You gotta trade him, Petey.
Yeah, but I'm not trading him for a fifth rounder. Sorry.
Peter, you went to two extremities. You went from a second
Well,
to now a
okay.
fifth.
Right. I'm just not. I'll consider a third. I probably, Buckeye, I'm starting to lean towards I would do a third. But,
I don't think you got to worry about that. I don't think you can get that.
right. So then I would just keep him. I'm not doing it for a fifth round
That's
pick.
and Petey, I'm okay with that too. But I'll tell you, if he puts together that 1,300 yard on the ground and 400 receiving, I'm not in a rush to sign him either, man. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just not. Not in a league where they show that running backs are like replaceable, man.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
I'm all.
he's not top 10 in this league right now. I like after 3 years, we can't use this potential thing. It's what you are after 3 years. Let him change it. And again, he's got no excuses this year. He's got a good line in front of him, and he's got Justin Fields next to him. He should ball out.
Yeah, I agree about that.
He should, man. He's 24 years old, and if you look at all the contracts that are in around the league, if he gets, like Petey said, on the low end, $8 million, a year because he's on it, played poorly, he's still not even top 10 paid. I mean, he's going to be paid less than, I don't know, David Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson. He deserves that. He's 24 years old.
But I want to see a Josh Jacobs here. I want to see that. That's, to me, like a real tough decision of letting out a room is a guy like Josh Jacobs. And by the way, he was on a shitty team, shitty quarterback, all those, and Josh Jacobs balled out with the Raiders. What did he have at the Raiders?
Oh, what? They let him go.
No, my point, Jarek, is all the excuse making for Brees. He didn't have this and he didn't have that, and it was this, it was that. Like, what did Josh Jacobs have in the Raiders?
Man, he led the league in rushing with 1,600 yards, and then the following year again, like he lost, the starter on offensive, two of the starting offensive linemen. Hurley went down the following year, and they just let him walk. Went to the Packers, and
Brees has never been Josh Jacobs.
No, he's been more of a. He's in that Alvin Kamara, Rashad White sort of category again. They're all purpose backs, but again,
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones. But again, you look at the Buccaneers. I'm always going to refer to Rashad White because Rashad White will be a number one in a lot of NFL teams. Matter of fact, Rashad White as an RB2 had 1,000 all-purpose yards as an RB2. Man, the man was top 5 in all-purpose yards, and they replaced him. With
but Green Bay is a good organization,
right?
And they let Aaron Jones out of the room, and I think Aaron Jones is better than Brees. But that's fine if you want to ride the coattails of Brees. But here's my thing: I would give him that rock, and I know people don't like this term. I would run the treads off of him. Like, I would literally let him like give him that ball 20 plus times.
So would I, Buckeye.
Yeah.
That's why just ride it out. That's
Yeah.
my opinion. Because now all of a sudden, how come nobody was talking about this a couple of years ago with the Jets letting go of players? Because we never had good players, and now all of a sudden, Brees is this. Oh, we need a draft pick. I'm sorry. I'm just.
Well,
It's just.
a couple years ago, you weren't talking about rebuilding. You were talking about being a playoff contention. So it would make sense to kind of keep those players around.
That's fair.
To try to go for it, but now.
Yeah, but Jarek, my point is, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut you
No, you're
off here.
good.
My point is well, because the first year of Salah, they played all rookies. You know what I mean? They developed. Would you say they developed Brandon Eccles? Like they developed a couple of guys. Sherwood was developed, Quincy Williams was developed, but I'm like backtracking here a little bit. The Jets didn't really have anybody to trade or let go of. I mean, besides Jamal Adams. You know what I mean? And they got a king ransom for it. I just wouldn't trade Brees. It's not because I'm married to the guy. I wouldn't do it. I just ride him out and see how it goes. And I don't think that's a big problem. But again, that's my belief and my opinion.
I mean, the
So
other thing too, Buckeye too. You watch a lot of Fields. When he was at Ohio State, did he utilize his running back a lot? When he
A
was
lot.
on his check down. That's what I'm saying. And Brees is very good at it, the backfield when it comes to receiving. So why wouldn't you want to have him another weapon to catch the
This
ball?
should be a career year for Brees. It really should be.
I think you'll get him on the cheap because he's been under 1,000. He isn't really giving us 100-yard games. Yes, he's played poorly. So we get him on the cheap, knowing his talent is there. He's had some bad years because of injury. And, yeah, those are excuses, but it's legitimate reasons. So last year, okay, maybe it wasn't the year we wanted to have for him, but we also know that our defense wasn't letting us stay in the lead to start just running the ball. We were trying to always fight back into games or go with Rodgers and utilize the passing game. That's just the team we were. So now we have a younger offensive line and a team that's going to probably run a lot more. See what he's got, especially if you're going to get him for $8 million or $9 million, and a 24-year-old who was supposed going to be one of the best players that we've had at that position since Curtis Martin, and you were going to trade him for a fourth-round pick and
Well,
get who?
Justin, that's a good point. Why aren't the Patriots getting flack for Lamondre Stevenson?
PD, they've had
They
a
did get
terrible
flack for it.
offseason. They've had a
I'm just
terrible
all right,
offseason.
right. I'm just saying the Patriots, signed him, and
Yeah, they
he's
got
still
flack
going to
for it.
be okay, but I don't hear a lot of it. Maybe it's because I'm not in their spaces.
Can
But
I give you a better example, though, PD? Going into
good.
last year, who did you say was, in your opinion, the best defensive player in the AFC East? He was
Ooh,
on the Patriots.
wait.
They let him go.
Judon.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yes,
Matthew
the
Judon,
pass
you said,
rusher.
I think is the best defensive player.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
did.
what happens when you wait till these contracts. Like, what did they get for Judon?
I think a third rounder.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And
Jarrett, do you know what they got?
I forgot what they
I got to
got.
look that up.
Yeah, I forgot.
but that's what happens when you wait till the end. That's what you get
Yeah, they got a third-round pick.
for
25 third round
Matthew
pick.
Judon.
Crazy. Yeah. Falcons.
Yeah, well, because they got a third rounder because I think they should have got more, but he was also coming off of torn tricep,
Yeah, he had an injury,
which is
which kind of messed up the
right.
value.
I think it was a torn tricep, and that's a major injury. So, I mean, I can't believe the Jets got a first round pick for Revis after his ACL. That was a lot,
Yeah, but he's a
but
CB1. I mean, Brees, if you're
correct.
going to trade
But
him, he's not going to.
Right, but Matthew Judon was a pass rusher one, correct? There's
Right,
no
but I'm
such
saying
thing as a
comparing to get
pass
him for
rusher
Brees.
one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're not going to get a high pick for Brees Hall, and the replacement you get with him isn't going to be a starting running back. You're going to wind up with another Izzy Anaconda, whatever his name
Well,
was, and be like, all
if
right, let's hope he's good.
Petey, the
Justin, if
Niners were in this situation with Debo and Ayuk, right? It was pay
mhm.
him or trade him.
But he was
They
also
paid
31.
both. It was a disaster, Petey. It was a disaster, and you can make the case that those players. Well, I would say both those players have played at a higher level in the NFL than Brees Hall.
Yeah, but Judon was 31, so it's not an accurate comparison.
I'm just saying, if you wait till guys, once Brees is his contract's done, I know, Justin, you just said we sign him to a cheap deal. He'll sign a deal whoever pays him. So if there's another team that decides, if the Patriots, who are always flooded with cash, are like, we'll give you $11 million, then he's worth $11 million.
Right.
He's not coming home for a green discount to stay with
Well,
this
right, but the
ridiculous team.
All right, I know what you're saying, Buckeye. I know you didn't mean the Patriots because they're not going to go after him unless they get rid of Stevenson. But I hear what you're saying. I think Brees is going to get a deal. He is.
From the Jets?
I'm not saying the Jets. I think Brees will get a good deal.
So that's again, it's like a hamster wheel. So if you think he's going to get a good deal, and the likelihood or possibility is not from the Jets, why not get something?
Or
If you
why
take
not give
be
him
Brees,
the deal? Why
to
we got
be
to be the team
determined.
that's not give it to him? He's good.
yeah,
He's a good player. He's young. You look at the Lions. They had the running back by committee. Why can't we have one guy who's the stud and then the other guys that are helping him out? And he doesn't need 1,000 as long as they're winning the game and he's staying on the field and he's moving the yards. He's averaged 5 yards a touch. Give him the ball more. It doesn't make sense. You don't give him the ball and be
Well,
like, oh,
his
he's not that good. He has
production
no
has
vision.
gone down a lot, Justin, to be fair.
Because they
It
don't give
went
him the
from
ball, man. You had Zach Wilson throwing the ball, who's stacking the box. And are you going to give Aaron Rodgers where they're dropping back into protection because they don't run as much. It's to me, it's just crazy. You don't give up on
if
somebody that young for that
if
cheap.
you take Brees out of that lineup, what do we just have? Garrett Wilson, and that's it.
Yep. I'm not taking him out,
That's
Packer.
it.
Whittle, go ahead. I got to close soon. Guys. Whittle, go ahead, man. What's up?
Yeah, I would think Buffalo might be interested if he has a 1,000 yard season or whatever. Why wouldn't Buffalo be interested? They're not going to pay Cook what he's asking for. So if Brees comes in, asking for asking for less than that, if he's amicable to taking 9 or 10, I think the Bills would be willing to do that for a guy with that talent. And we already have the Bills already have a really good offensive line, and they have other running backs. So
That gives us a comp pick.
you
Hey,
bring them in as a compliment.
if
But
the Giants offered the Jets at 3, would the Jets do it?
I don't know. Why would, again,
I
I
don't
don't
think they
know.
would do it. They'd be scared to death.
But hear me out here. The Jets have money next year. They're going to sign players. So I don't even think you may get a comp pick for Brees. We don't know. So I would just ride it out. If you want to win
Me
games
too.
and try and win games in parentheses and not be bad, just see what he does and then reevaluate it. You have the
I
franchise tag, who knows? Maybe you do it if he has a monster year.
I think he's an asset, not a
If he has a
problem.
monster
We got a
year,
lot
then
of problems.
the coaching did great. No?
Yeah.
ATH, you came in and Lawrence, bring up your
Yeah.
points
So
and then I gotta
yeah.
go.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. I
It's all
feel
right.
like write it out with write it out with Brees Hall. I say just write out the season, see where he goes. If he does bad, yeah, trade him. But if he still, I would keep him.
Bro, if you ride out the season with him, you can't trade him. His contract's over.
No, but Whittle, you could franchise him and then work out a trade technically, but you're right. All right, guys.
You're gonna franchise him for $13 million? Who's taking that?
I don't know. But then once you franchise him, can't you rework the deal and just give him an extension?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, you can do that.
So
But then
because
you're not getting rid of him. I mean, why not just give him an extension then?
yeah, I mean,
I don't even need to go through all of that. If you
listen,
if the plan is to extend him, do it now while you can get him for cheaper.
I don't think they
You
will.
wait for him to have a good
I'm with
year,
Whittle.
and then he prices himself out.
Exactly.
Yeah, guys, I'm up
So
against the
before another
hour.
person talks, I'm gonna say this. I just feel like all that nonsense where they're saying, there's like a team in the first round willing to trade for Brees. I think that's just a myth. Like, I don't think if you trade for Brees, I think the most you get is maybe a fourth or third round pick. Um, would you be okay with that? But I'm not sure. Like,
I
Let's
would.
be honest. Like
I'll take a
a third
third.
round pick is a pipe dream, guys. A third round pick is a pipe dream because why would a team trade a third round pick with the most that they can get back as a third round comp, which is at the end of the third round? So you're looking more likely at a fourth.
Right. I mean, I don't know if I would even do it for a fourth. I'd just hold on to him. But that's me right now. Guys, I'll be back on tomorrow. We'll be back on tomorrow. June, Mark, thank you. Mike Mitchell, thanks. Appreciate you guys. Whittle, Jetstream, Buckeye, Lawrence, ATH, Hector, Jarek. I see Curtis, J. Mick, Mario, what up? Joe from Atlanta. Haven't seen you in a while. Neek, Jonathan's in here. Hey, Aaron, have a good day, guys. Go Jets.
Have a good one, guys.
June, Buckeye, Whittle,
Tear it
tear
down,
it down.
baby.
Tear it
We
down.
trade Brees.
June, thank you. See you later.